Part of my job here on YouTube is to notice trends, identifying patterns in our two-wheeled community. And sometimes I do that with the videos I see in my feed. Sometimes it's through our Discord community, and other times it's the comments section. And I can't help but notice something a little odd. Royal Enfield seems to elicit an attraction amongst seasoned riders. Hell, even new riders who are a little bit further down the road in life. When we make videos about Royal Enfield, we get owners penning loving letters to their faithful steeds in our comments section. And I can tell they're older because A, they usually start off by saying, "I'm 73 years old," which is awesome. Or B, the length of the comments. You know that no Zoomer is leaving well thought out paragraphs in the comments section unless it was AI generated. But even more specifically, they're not going gaga over the 650s. Rather, it seems that they're waxing poetic about the 350s, the Himalayan 411, or other small displacement Royal Enfields. So what's going on here? Why do seasoned riders love Royal Enfield? Is it because they're cheap? Is it because they're unintimidating? I have a suspicion there's something a little deeper going on here. Let's jump in. All right, so really quick, this is Royal Enfield's Gorilla 450. It represents something kind of new that the company is doing with their liquid-cooled offerings. And what's cool about it is I think it's kind of flexible and interesting enough for both beginner riders and experienced riders. And it comes in some pretty cool colors. And you're in luck because if you caught this video the day it went live, it's the last day you have to get entered to win this motorcycle as a giveaway. Click the link down below to my website, yammynoob.co, and become a member today to lock in your chances to win this bike. If that doesn't sound interesting to you, you can also just pick up a hat, a t-shirt, a hoodie. The dollar you spend will be an entry to win as well, subject to a multiplier. I've actually given away over 70 motorcycles. The last one we just wrapped up was a Ducati Panigale V4, and so I wanted to do something that was a little bit more for the beginner rider. So we're giving this bike away along with $1,200 cash so that you can pick up some gear, go get your MSF done, and just go out there, fill up your tank, and get on the road. I posted a full review of this motorcycle just the other day, so if you want to learn more about it, go ahead in the back catalog and check that out when you're done with this video. But for now, click the link down below and get your chances locked and loaded to win this machine. Right, so let's start off today's video talking about some of the more old school offerings that Royal Enfield has, because I think that's part of the allure. Those of you who keep up with the channel on a regular basis know that I recently picked up a Ducati Monster 1100S. I've been riding motorcycles for over 11 years. I've tried everything under the sun, and I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to value the overall analog experience of riding much more than power, tech, performance, or anything else really. Royal Enfields in general offer a similar dynamic, albeit with way less Ducati nonsense. Most manufacturers are moving away from legitimate mechanical purity, and the types of bikes that seasoned riders remember are becoming collector's items or just simply don't exist anymore. Kickstarters, carburetors, air-cooled engines, hallmarks of classic, simple motorcycling. Truthfully, some of these pieces of technology have been rightfully relegated to the dustbin of history, but nostalgia really sells, and offering an experience that is pretty close to those old bikes of yesteryear can stir the souls of seasoned or older riders. There's a familiar style and presence to the air-cooled Royal Enfields. They have a single round headlight, normal proportions, classy styling, and best of all, there's built-in value for the smaller models. A Hunter 350, for example, has an MSRP of $42.99. For a rider who's a little bit older, this plays nicely into a kind of why not mentality. It's not a huge financial commitment for someone in their 40s, 50s, or even their 60s. If you always have had a dream to get out on the road, this is a stylish and nice and cheap way to do it. If you rode when you were in your 20s, but now you're in your 60s, and you don't really want to spend $25,000 on a Harley to pretend like you're some road pirate, it can be a sensible choice. But I don't think it's just price, nostalgia, and sensibility. There's another really big factor at play here. We often joke around here that the next step after owning a Harley is the retirement home. Now that's a little bit morbid, but factually accurate. The average age of a motorcyclist is 50 years old in the United States now. And despite what the evangelists for the American bagger bike would tell you, not everybody wants to whip around an 800-pound barge when they just pop out for a ride. As we age, we tend to lose muscle mass, and we've only recently started to understand just how important staying active and specifically training your muscles are to aging. And unfortunately, many older folks today have not cared for their bodies in the ways that they should. So if you're over 70 and you still love being on two wheels, what do? You're not a speed freak anymore, you don't want some big heavy bike, you go for a Royal Enfield. The 350 category, as I mentioned, is small and light, easy to manage. And this works well for beginner riders, of course, but it's equally as effective for the much older rider who just doesn't want something too big. You also consider the ergonomics. They're simple, straightforward, and easy on the knees and back. An agreeable reach to the bars doesn't hurt either. And they have comfortable seats, and these aren't cruisers, but rather standard style bikes that make riding easy. The low seat height and low center of gravity helps too. It's that knees in the breeze style of riding that I hear so much about from these guys. They're ready to roll on down the road going 45 or 50, stock exhaust, puttering along, and simply taking in the sights. And I gotta say, I completely recognize this style of riding and what it's really all about. You don't need to be on an 800-pound boat that has limited ground clearance to experience this feeling. So let me tell you a quick story. Just the other day, I was cruising along on my Ducati Monster 1100S. I had just had a really nice spirited ride on one of my favorite twisty roads, and towards the end of the route, it just kind of mellows out and you get to ride through a tunnel of greenery and trees. One of my favorite things about my Monster is that you can ride it fast or you can ride it slow. It's not a super aggressive motorcycle. So I rolled off the gas a little bit. I looked up and around the trees and I thought to myself, wow, how lucky am I that I get to be here right now? Motorcycling can grant us those moments of pure presence, especially on a bike where if you tilt your head slightly up, you no longer see the dash or your arms, you just exist as one object just going down the road, feeling the engine rumble between your legs, letting the experience just kind of wash over you. Just taking a deep breath in and remembering why you love riding in the first place. How special it is to be behind the visor and on two wheels. You don't need a Harley for that, you don't need a Ducati for that, you just need two wheels and an engine. And it's why I have my mission on this channel, to just get more people riding bikes, because I genuinely believe if more people felt what I feel on my motorcycle, we'd have less problems in the world. But there's another reason that these bikes have been surging in popularity. Seasoned motorcycle riders appreciate analog bikes, as we mentioned, but more than that, they appreciate simplicity. Being able to be self-sufficient and maintain or adjust things on a bike is a hallmark of classic motorcycling. In past generations, it wasn't simply enough to know how to operate the machine. To be honest, it was kind of an understood expectation. I mean, it's crazy. You look back at the old owner's manuals of these bikes and cars and they had how to change the valves on them. Nowadays, they have to remind you to not lick the battery. You also had to be a part-time mechanic because bikes just weren't all that reliable. Engines leaked oil, carburetors needed rejetting, and rudimentary electronics would short out and require diagnosis. I think we slowly started getting spoiled with bikes that just churn miles and never break. And I gotta be honest, I prefer living in that world as a person who's able to wrench on a bike, but prefers to spend his time riding motorcycles. Seasoned riders appreciate wrenching on bikes and prefer to work on bikes that are simpler and easy to understand. Fewer valves to check, less parts to break, easily accessible engines. The smaller Royal Enfields have all of this. They also provide owners an opportunity to wrench since the service intervals are a little bit shorter than normal. Some people might think that's bad, but you could think of it as a pro if you take on an optimistic hat. They also have ample customization and parts available, so you can take care of the regular maintenance, but also spend time bolting on parts or changing some stuff out. Expressing yourself through your ride is a core part of the motorcycling experience, and when you're done chasing power, apexes, and clout, you just want something beautiful and classic that reflects a little bit about you. That's another element that works really well for Royal Enfield is how many color options they have for their bikes. You might find it silly if you're used to buying Hondas or CF Motos that come in very drab shades of black, gray, or silver, but people enjoy color. In fact, one of the primary drivers for people to swap their vehicles is actually color. I see it in the comments all the time, people rendering their verdict on whether or not the bike we are featuring in the video is beautiful or not. At the end of the day, that's a completely subjective discussion. Aesthetics, taste, and style are all up to interpretation and are ultimately decided by a variety of factors, such as your upbringing, your experience, and what you're looking for in a bike. But the fact is, Royal Enfields are sold in some seriously fun colors. You could make the case that since they can't really differentiate on actual tech or engineering prowess, that they make up for it with fun colors. But that's a little bit of a black-pilled take in my opinion. They've got ultra-classic styling, new modern retro styles, chromed out paint, some really fun options. And I think that appeals to a lot of seasoned riders too. And of course, to beginner riders. I think the old idea that motorcyclists are meant to graduate to the flagship, heavy, expensive bike is being totally upended by Royal Enfield and the current cohort of seasoned older rider. Motorcycling's meant to be fun. I've been saying that on the channel here for a long time. It's usually best enjoyed as a simple, low-key activity. And sure, there's a time and place for specialized riding. I love ripping a top-shelf leader bike on a racetrack or sending a high-spec dirt bike on a trail or over some jumps. But truthfully, the seasoned and experienced riders among us figured out a long time ago that all it really takes is 2 wheels and an engine. Spending $30,000 to cosplay as Ewan McGregor or as an extra in Sons of Anarchy or as a Power Ranger in the canyons in Malibu is typically reserved for the insecure middle-aged rider with something to prove. I think there's a self-assuredness that comes from riding one of these smaller, simpler machines. I kind of joke sometimes, but I do think it's a bit of a Giga Chad move. One that can only come from someone who's been there, done that, and no longer cares what you think. Thanks for checking out today's episode. What do you think? Are you a more seasoned rider who enjoys the smaller, simpler side of motorcycling? If you're not, and you're excited to get started motorcycling, why not check out our Gorilla 450 giveaway along with $1,200 cash on my website, yammynoob.co. This is a very short sweepstakes, and if you're catching this video the day it went live, you're in luck because it's the very last day you have to get entered to win. Make sure you head to the website by clicking the link down below. Pick up some merch or become a member for your best chance to win. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.